Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women's Sports International WSI webinar today on new generation of game changers. So hello, my name is Kanai Haneshi, and I am the Secretary General of Women's Sports International. So before we start the session, we have a few housekeeping things. So number one, please mute yourself during the session by clicking this mute button. So I'm gonna move this so everyone can see right here. And then when you speak, you can just unmute yourself. And number two, click CC to turn on the live caption. So if you turn on this live transcript, CC, you can see the live transcript on like you're seeing right now on your screen. And number three, to ask questions and make a comments or show your reaction, please use your chat feature, which is right here in the middle, or the reaction. If you click the reaction, you can make different reaction as well. And for the Q&A session, we are going to have a live Q&A that you can unmute yourself and then speak. And like I said, today's webinar will be is recorded and will be available for everyone to review on our website later. And once again, we love to know who is here with us today. So please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat as well. So here is the agenda of today's webinar. So we started with a welcome message from the WSI president, Diane Hoffman. And we have five wonderful guest speakers today. The first speaker will be the Miss Maka Chicuero. She is a member of the WSI. Also, she is from MTC Educate a Girl, Inc. And the second speaker will be Miss Aya Noguchi. She is also the WSI member, and she is from SCP Japan. And the third speaker is Perry Shirin, and she's a WSI member, and she is from WHSV Sports Anchor and Reporter. And then the fourth speaker is Miss Marika Fukuta and Miss Ayako Takematsu. They are also the WSI member, and they are from the Japanese Bridge Women's Soccer Program. And then at the end, I'd like to speak a little bit about the WSI and then our membership.
Recording in progress.
So when you come in, please make sure to mute yourself. So first, we like to start with our welcome message from the Diane Hoffman.
Well, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to Women's Sport International's latest webinar, New Generations of Game Changers. Today, as Kanai has already introduced you, we have the opportunity to hear from, I guess there's five young professionals who are committed to improving the lives of girls and women in and around the world of sport. So it is now an opportunity for you to ask questions on how they keep motivated, what is driving them to work on these issues for girls and women, what led them to focus in this area, who are their champions. And I'm very happy to say that they're all members of WSI. They're all committed to our objectives and our goals. So they're part of your network. So take advantage of this opportunity, learn from them, and engage them throughout this webinar. So I hope that you enjoy, and thank you very much. So I'll turn it back to you, Kanai.
Thank you, Diane. And now I would like to introduce our first speaker. our first speaker is Miss Maka Chicoero, and she is talking about, her top title of the presentation will be The Girls, Sports, Education, and the Climate Justice is What We Want. So Maka is the founder and the president of MTC Educate a Girl, Inc. And she's also a high school student and an athlete and a member of the United Nations Generation Equality Youth Task Force addressing girls leaders, and the immediate past president of the Rosaria Memorial Trust Girls Club of North America. Maka has received several awards in Zimbabwe and the United States. Among the other honors was being nominated for the prestigious International Children's Peace Prize Award in 2020. Her organization, MTC Educate a Girl, Inc., is a nonprofit organization for girls by a girl whose main objective is to empower girls and young women in rural and peri-urban areas to support girls' education, fight the scourge of girls' marriage, challenge harmful gender stereotypes, groom women leaders, and level gender inequalities. So please join me and join us to welcome Maka.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction, Ms. Kanai. I also prepared a slide deck that I'd love to share with you all. So let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yep, perfect.
Oh, cool, awesome. So yes, my presentation is about how climate change, gender equality, and climate justice is what we as girls want for our future. MTC Educate a Girl, Inc. is a nonprofit organization founded by a girl for girls, and it brings sustained focus to girls and their issues. Its vision is to empower girls in disadvantaged communities through education, entrepreneurship, advocacy, as well as sports. It actively seeks leadership and sports opportunity for these girls to empower themselves through themselves. It speaks on placing an emphasis on our experiences from the global South and embedded in rural and peri-urban communities. MTC's programs foreground the work of girls by creating opportunities for them to embrace and validate their girlhood, promote gender equality, and fight off child marriages. The organization's programs also encourages girls to participate in traditionally male sports such as soccer while excelling in school. MTC has leadership circles where issues of sexual and reproductive health, girls' education, personal hygiene, sports participation, advocacy, dating, study circles, and leadership are all explored within these safe spaces that we built for these girls to express themselves and feel empowered by one another. And MTC's board of directors is diverse and makes sure to include young women and girls' opinions so that they're heard and their voices are valued when it comes to decision-making spaces. And a common phrase that we've been hearing recently is nothing for girls without girls. And MTC takes that to heart and makes sure to implement it in the everyday, day-to-day stuff. Along with the mentorship circles, MTC is helped run by the elderly women in the community because we feel as if we need a balance of older and younger voices when it comes to empowering oneself and making sure that all the voices in the community are heard, thus empowering both younger and older women when it comes to the issues of gender equality, climate change, sports participation, etc. The mentorship circles are called mangas in these spaces, and these are models where girls gather to discuss issues that affect them personally in a safe space where they know that they will never be judged or thought negatively upon. And we've been able to have success in the first girl circle in Mindoro, where we've been able to expand it into Chimanimani and other areas. And I'm so glad that these safe spaces for the girls are able to make them feel safe, because that's what we need as girls, safe spaces where we can express our voices without the fear of judgment from others. And that's what these mentorship circles are for. MTC focuses on SDG number 5, which is sustainable development, sports for social justice, and ultimately to level the playing field. MTC uses girls soccer to pursue a number of SDGs, obviously, but number 5 is the one that stuck with me. Soccer has been a male-dominated sport for many years, and MTC has consistently been working to break that stereotype in the community. And now, more than ever, more and more girls are playing soccer in our communities. We've been hosting soccer tournaments yearly with different themes to celebrate International Day of the Girl Child, which has been able to reach thousands of people in the community, which was not being done before. We've reached traditional, political, and religious leaders with the message to end child marriages and get them on board. And this week, the Parliament of Zimbabwe passed a law to effectively ban marriage of anyone under the age of 18. Now, the important part is making sure that law is implemented in the day-to-day life and never overlooked. Now the race will begin implementing enforcement of the law and will continue to do so using soccer programs and awareness campaigns. And here are a few photos of the International Day of the Girl Child soccer tournament that we just recently had in October of 2021. And you can see on the right, top left, pardon me, was the winning senior team that came all the way from Urewa. It wasn't my team, but my junior team did win. So that's a win for my part. But you can see in all these pictures that there's a variety of older women, young girls, middle-aged girls playing soccer, because soccer is often called the universal language. If you give someone a ball, they're gonna know, if you give someone a soccer ball, they're gonna know that they have to kick that ball somewhere into hopefully the goal. But you can see them just having fun as girls while also tackling important issues such as SRHR, gender violence, and much, much more. And here is one of our superstars, Yolanda, who joined MTC Sirens 3 years ago and has been participating annually in the International Day of the Girl Child soccer tournaments. And at this past one that happened in October, she won the Player of the Tournament award, which is such a prestigious award, and then was invited to play on the U17 national team. That was a great honor, and none of the girls from the soccer tournament had made it to that level just yet. And she had begun practicing with that team at these amazing stadium. If you compare the top photos, she's playing where there isn't green grass or seats for the stadium at all, but she still excelled at her sport where she had the resources to. But unfortunately, she wasn't able to play due to that. That was the time when COVID was at an all-time high and things began to shut down. But you see, Yolanda was going to be a success story, and there are multiple more Yolandas in many marginalized communities, but the scouting processes are usually done in the big cities where all the money is, where yes, there is talent, but there also is talent in these rural and peri-urban communities, which needs to be harvested and nurtured. MTC works to highlight the girls' lived experiences. In line with the CSW 66 priority theme on climate change, MTC joins hands to address the effect of climate change on the lived experiences of these girls and young mothers. And you can see in these photos, these 4 photos, there are 2 extremes to what the girls are facing. At this bottom left picture, you can see that there's been a flood that has knocked this bridge over. And on the other side of the bridge actually is where the MTC girls practice their soccer. But you can't really play soccer on a field where it's too muddy and your cleats will basically sink into the ground. It will tear up the field, leaving you with no field to play with. But on the top right 2 pictures, you can see that these are supposed to be cornfields where the corn is supposed to be taller than the young mother here and this older man over there. But you can see it's actually shorter than them. It's dried out, which has led to drought, and they need this corn in order to make money, to make food, to survive. And you see that that resource is being cut short from them. And in this top left picture, you see these girls going out to gather firewood to be able to cook their food, but they have to travel long distances to do so and need to travel in bigger groups to remain safe as girls. And during this year's UN CSW 66, MTC ensured girls' participation as presenters and learners from the rural homes in Zimbabwe demanding climate justice for their own generation. And I believe some of our girls are tuned into this meeting again today. So I really appreciate your voices here. You are heard and you are necessary in these spaces. All the presenters were soccer players, and there's a link between girls not playing soccer because of poverty caused by floods and drought. MTC works to amplify the voices of girls on all platforms and their needs for girls to speak unfiltered without anyone blocking or hindering their voices. It helps create platforms for the girls to voice their need for funding, strengthen the response to climate change, sports participation, mentorship, and youth leadership, as well as opportunities to take their advocacy to national, regional, and international platforms, such as this one I've been so fortunate to speak on. So in the end, what does climate justice look like? Climate justice ensures food security and extra resources to pay for education, sports participation, and funding sports activities. And we need to end this senseless cutting of trees and planting more trees to improve the air quality, water retention, and general health of these communities that will be the first affected when it comes to these issues. Climate justice means that the United Nations and governments should not be influenced by multinational corporations, because we the girls are the ones suffering, and we will always feel first when it comes to these issues. Thank you all so much for your time and listening to my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mark. That was a fantastic presentation. We have already have several comments on the chat, but I like to open up to the floor for a question and answer session. So you can raise your hands, or you can just unmute yourself, and then we don't have a lot of people here, so you can just unmute yourself and then just start asking questions to Marka or her work. Okay, Sanya,
Yeah.
please.
Thank you for presentation, Tamaka. I just want to ask, what are the most difficulties to her to organize these sessions and these football activities with the girls in the right place?
Thank you for your question. Some issues that I do run into is access, you know. Since I work with girls in marginalized communities, getting them the computers that they need, the internet access they need, the steady connection they need, something that I'm still trying to work on. I've been able to have them here with these spaces with me today, and I'm so thankful for that, because that's a step in the right direction, which I hope to be able to just expand it from them just listening to me speak, but them being able to speak themselves alongside me, because there's only so much I can do as with MTC, sharing their experiences, but I want to get to the point where they also share their experiences. I build upon that with the resources that I have.
Thank you, Marka. Miss Nina Smart.
Hello, everybody, and good morning from Los Angeles. It's very early here. I wanted to congratulate you, Marka, for all your amazing work, and for also inviting all the girls who I see are joining us from Zimbabwe. Hello, I really look forward to meeting some of you when we shall visit. My question is, first, are you going to help promote Yolanda further so she can continue with this, given that she has been given such a wonderful opportunity, but unfortunately COVID limited her, as many of us, to continue with the work? So that's the first one. And then second, are you planning to take your amazing ideas and maybe collaborate with other young women in other parts of Africa? For example, I see someone here from Sierra Leone, and as you know, I am half Sierra Leonean, and I work there. And I know that in my recent visit there, I have seen more girls being interested in playing soccer. So I was wondering if you have any plans in expanding the program, or perhaps building partnerships, and how is it that some of us can support you with that? Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Yes, to start off with Yolanda, I do want to continue her athletic career, because she is a talent that made it all the way to U17 national team, which does not happen every single day. So I'm gonna do everything in my power just to get her to those platforms, because she deserves it. She is a talent, and she may not have all the resources she needs, but I'm gonna use what I have to be able to help excel her to the next level. And to address your second question, yes, I would love to expand the mission of MTC, hopefully to Sierra Leone next. And whenever I come across young people in the spaces where I'm presenting, I always make sure to reach out and share my website, my contact information, make sure we can be able to connect later and bounce ideas off each other, potential partnership opportunities, which I'm always seeking out for. And so, yeah, so it's definitely in my future. And to get in contact with me about it, I could give you my LinkedIn, website, and email, and we can start hashing out some ideas over there.
All the best to that. We will continue to support you, and especially to extend everywhere it's needed, not only Africa, but other places of the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Diane Hoffman, please.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Oh, this is excellent work. Congratulations. I'm really impressed with what you're able to achieve. I'm wondering, like, how did you get started? Like, what was, who's behind you to help you to be able to mobilize this and make it happen?
Well, I started off my advocacy journey when I was just 10 years old. I was discovered by a woman named Yara Zain Kupanjando, who saw a project that I did at my elementary school, discovering how, or looking into how women and girls were portrayed differently than men and boys in Lego sets. And she really opened my eyes to the issue of gender inequality. And so she invited me to the CSW when I was an itty bitty third grader, not knowing what was going on. But through the issues explored and presented to me at that conference, I realized I don't like whatever this gender inequality is. You know, a little 10-year-old me didn't know too much, but I knew that this is something that must change, and I want to be with people to change it. And so I worked with her nonprofit for a few years, learning the ropes and seeing what I could do in my not small town, my hometown of Madison, Wisconsin, and see what I could do to help girls who look like me, who are my age, who don't want to fall into the trap of child marriages. And so I decided that I could introduce my love of the sport soccer, because I'm a soccer player. And so I was like, soccer keeps me busy, soccer keeps me healthy, happy, and teaches me to balance out my life and be mindful of my time and what I do with it. And so if we can teach these skills to other girls, they can harness that skill and translate it to their studies, whatever else they may need to apply it to. And so by introducing that, I worked with her nonprofit Rosanna Memorial Trust for a couple of years. And then in 2019, Cyclone Idai hit the eastern part of Zimbabwe. And I felt as if at that point I had gathered my own skill set to the point where I could start my own nonprofit, MTC. And so that's where I started from. And I've continued to carry the message of using sports as a vehicle to end child marriages and promote healthy bodies and healthy minds.
Oh, that's fantastic. And do you have adequate funding? Like, what's your funding sources for this?
Yeah.
Who's assisting you in this?
Yeah, funding will always more the merrier, obviously, but we use soccer tournaments to help raise money, as well as awareness campaigns on Facebook to amplify the message of what we need to get for these girls to be able to participate. Recently, we actually acquired donations for 2 laptops to have the girls participate here with us. So that was, I think, the biggest milestone we have had yet. And now we're currently still working on building our study center for the girls to have constant access there to the internet, to books, to printing resources. So that's our next big step. But we just achieved a huge milestone. So I'm so thankful for that.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing this with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Diane. Miyuki Kobayashi, Miss Miyuki Kobayashi, please.
Hi, my name is Miyuki. I'm working for V-League in the Japanese professional league. And thank you for your presentation. It's really excellent. I just for the information, do you know the FIFA has a funding for the women's development now. So I think, as you know, you have under 17 player and you do like some women's soccer workshops. So maybe I think you can, get get some funding from the FIFA, I guess. So just for your information.
Thank you so much. I definitely need to look into that because I was actually unaware. But
Yeah.
would I be able to reach out to you over email to get more information about that?
And I can connect you to FIFA then. Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Okay. That's good.
That's wonderful. These, webinars are also another opportunity for the networking, meeting new people here. So this is fantastic to hear. So we have few questions on chat. Maybe Marco can answer it on the chat. So I'm going to move on to the next speaker here. Marco, thank you so much again for your contribution to the all women in sports, especially in Zimbabwe. A fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. So now I'm going to move on to the next speaker. Okay, so the next speaker is from Japan. So next speaker is Miss Aya Noguchi. She is from SCP Japan, Sports for Creating Pathway Japan. So the Miss Aya Noguchi is currently an assistant professor at Juntendo University in Japan. Her areas of expertise are sports and the development and the sports and the gender and sexuality. She was a football player in Japan, United States, Sweden until 2014, when she finished her professional contract. After retiring, she lived in Zambia for 6 months, having practical experience tackling gender-related issues through sports. Starting in 2015, she worked for the International Affairs Division of the Japan Sports Agency, which is a government of Japan, for two and a half years, focusing on gender and sports as well as sports for development. Besides her university job, she has done several lectures and she's been involved in some SDP and gender and sports project run by NGOs and sports organizations. So please join me to welcome next speaker, Ms. Aya Noguchi.
Thank you very much, Kanae, for a great introduction. Hello, everyone. Good evening, everyone. This is Japanese time, but maybe in the United States, you are in the morning. But I'm Aya Noguchi. I'm an assistant professor at the Juntendo University. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
I'm not good at full PowerPoint presentation like a display. So let me go with this slide. So I'm an assistant professor at the Juntendo University, but in 2020, I founded Sports for Creating Pathway Japan, which we called SCP Japan, with my friend. So today I'm going to talk about our program, SCP Japan's program, mainly in this session. So let me introduce myself a little bit more. I was a football player from 3 years old to 25 years old. Until university student, I played in the Tsukuba University, where University of Tsukuba, and I finished my university. I moved to the United States, and then I lived there for 4 years. So last presenter is Marika and Ayako will present the bridge program. I did a study abroad through the bridge program, and Kanae, just a question to Maka, they helped me to bring me to the United States. So I was in the United States 4 years taking the master course. And then after I finished my master degrees, I moved to Sweden because I got a professional contract, a short-term professional contract in Sweden. So then my professional contract. So I decided to finish my professional soccer football career. And then I decided to go seek with my second career, which is the bottom part. So after I finished my career, I moved to football career. I moved to Zambia, living with working for the Zambian organization. They called NAUSPA. They're using sports for tackling gender issues. And I had a very great time with the people in Zambia. And then I decided, oh, this is my this is my future career as a professional. So after I finished my internship in Zambia for 6 months, I came back to Japan, and at the time, government of Japan was open vacancy position in the International Affairs Division. So I applied to the position and I got the job. So I worked in the government of Japan for 2.5 years. But when I doing the policy level work, I was feeling I really want to do more in practical things or research things, not just talking about the policy level discussion. This is not really like my types. So I changed my career to the university job, and also I created my own organization. So this is my organization's look like. So we aiming to create an inclusive society through sports. So we have 5 pillars. The first pillar is all capabilities. The first pillar is all capabilities, which means children with disability or without disabilities. So they get together and understand each other and create a safe space for everybody. So this program, this pillar is more likely the program with people with disabilities. We got the fund from Barça Foundation. They have a football net program, which is a play-based, game-based education program with children with disabilities and children without disabilities. So we implemented the football net program funded by Barça Foundation. And also we collaborate with the Japanese Inclusive Football Federation, we call JIF. JIF had 8 different football, for example, deaf football, blind soccer, amputee football. So they combined together and they did promote football with disabilities. So we also work with them and then do some like a festival or education program for children with disabilities. And we also try to develop the facilitators who can support those kind of activities using sports for inclusive society. And the women and the girls pillars, we work with the professional women's soccer leagues, and we did a clinic for the children. And also we regularly provide a girls soccer sports clinic. And we also gender awareness webinars with the Japanese Rugby Football Union. And also we got some job from the WE League, Women's Professional Football Leagues, because we are doing the women's empowerment action every weekend. So we went to their action and we wrote the article about it. Maybe later Miyuki can explain more deeply, but we work with the WE League as well. And LGBTQ plus SOGI pillars, this project, we are mainly work with the Pride House Tokyo. Pride House Tokyo is a LGBTQ specifically focusing non-profit organization, but we are more likely doing the sports context. So we work with the professional soccer league and we did the Pride Match to raise awareness of LGBTQ issues. And we invited the openly LGBTQ athletes to talk about their experience with their audience. And also in Japan, we didn't really much about the guidebook for LGBTQ plus sports. So we don't know much about the issues happening in the LGBTQ plus in sports. So we published some guidebook to understand, people understand what is the issue and how we can take care of it. And also international cooperation project, we had especially during the Olympic and Paralympic Games, we had a workshop with 10 ASEAN countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, or Myanmar. We did a workshop with them. And then at the grassroots level, we have some exchange program with an athlete from Nigeria who did getting a scholarship in Japanese school. So we brought the kids our program to impact session with the Nigerian athlete. Also, we did some workshop in Zambia because they are doing the women's empowerment workshop through sports. Safeguarding peer, social inclusive societies. The fundamental of the inclusive society is a respect of human rights and children's rights. So we really value the human rights issues. So So we did some awareness with the professional athletes, and we give some lectures or play-based education program that kids understand their rights that they have. And so we invited the Human Rights Watch and also global international safeguarding expert to talk about safeguarding issues in sports in Japanese or to Japanese audience. So this is our overall project, but our vision is creating better future where everyone can be who they are. So for we call it's like society. We have 3 missions: explore the potential of sports for empowerment, promote an inclusive society through sports, and develop young practitioners who can use sports for social inclusions. So as you may know, sports for development, that the concept of SDP, sports for development and peace, is using sports for tackling global issues or social issues. But that's the concept, SDP concept in Japan, we haven't really spread it yet. So, but when I was in Zambia doing some internship in the Zambian organization, and I thought that I really shocked that sports can utilize many different things. So I like to concept in Japan. So that's why my and specifically doing SDP program in Japan. And then why we put the because some of the cases the problem is not just only related to gender or only related to LGBTQ+. The people have a multi-layer of difficulties, and then we have to take care of intersectionality issues. So that's why we put the 5 pillars and doing 5 different approaches at the same time. So that's why we can tackle the intersectionality issues that the individual people are facing. So that's why we have 5 pillars in our programs. So, and what we do, sorry, I think I've taken too much time to explain. So this is, I go briefly. What we are doing is we do the game-based education approach. So we create a space for kids and children and participants who play regardless of gender, sexuality, disabilities, income level, and they create a safe space and enjoyable spaces with the participants. So we have a game-based education program. We also have doing the workshop outreach program and research, because most of the problem that is caused by the unconscious bias. So by doing the lecture or outreaching program, we try to let people know that what is things that you haven't realized yet, or giving the correct information that people understand what is a discrimination or those kind of things. So we do the workshop and outreach program a lot for many audience. And also we did the interaction session, because I'm not sure if this is happening only in Japan or other countries, but usually people are usually hang out with the same group of people. So I've never I've never grown up people with children with disabilities to the different. So we don't really have much experience to understand each other. So we try to create a space that diverse different group of people came together and to talk and create, to talk and understand each other. So we like to create that kind of space online or offline, either way. So we also do a lot of interaction session a lot. So for the gender issues, what our approach to gender? First of all, most of our staff members are women and girls, women. So I think it's important to the visibility. It's important of the visibility of women's leadership abilities to the children, not only girls but also boys. So we try to bring the many women's facilitators or women's coaches to be present in the children. Also, as I talked several times, but we create a safe space for girls to participate in sports. Sometimes girls couldn't really reach to the field because of the program is not really relevant to me, or this is for the boys program, or I'm scared to play with boys. So we try to make a safe space for girls to come and enjoy what they really like to do. So we create a safe space for girls, and also we teach children's rights to the children, because they need to understand what rights they have. Otherwise, they cannot. They have to understand their rights. So, but we use a play-based, and then so they can easily or understand what rights they have, and with by the enjoyable ways. And also we work with other organizations like a Pride House Tokyo, or Global Kids Method is a afternoon school program which take care of the children with developmental disabilities. So we try to tackle the intersectionality issues. That's why we are very valued to work with the specific organization who have the specific work for them. And then, so there are two other slides. So this is our recent work for our gender-related program. So recently we got the fund from Women Wing, and Women Wing is a global SDP organization specifically for the gender issues. And the Women Wing provide one on-site fund program, and then SCP Japan got the fund from the Women Wing on-site fund. So we asked the WE League and Pride House Tokyo to join our project, and we are now making the short film and under the theme of rethinking femininity and being authentic yourself. So because femininity is kind of set by the society, but the diverse women are very diverse. And sometimes recently, we have to recognize that the transgender women also in the women's category. So we try to shoot the women's professional players what they are really thinking about who they are, and then create a safe space for them to speak out themselves. So we make a short film with we're shooting 8 women's professional football players, and create a short films, and then to publish to publish on the YouTube or other platform, so we can see what is authentic yourself through the women's soccer players. This is the recent project. And another recent project is I explained briefly before, but during the Summer Olympic Games, where a Japanese government and 10 ASEAN Southeast Asian countries did the 4-day workshops. Actually, Japanese Japanese Center for Research on Women and Sports, J. Cruz, like Juntendo University got this fund, but I'm a project leader for the project. And then my organization helped to operate this project. This is the kind of international cooperation project between Japan and ASEAN countries. And then there are 2 workshops, and we did a parallelly. The first workshop is a policymakers workshop. So each ASEAN 10 country for the gender equality in sports in their countries. So we invited Dr. Guylaine Dimars from Canada. She has a very well-known in their countries, especially in sports. And then second workshop is for more likely the women's, young women's leaders from each countries. And then we invited Lombe Muaba from Zambia, where I worked when I was in Zambia. So I invited Lombe as a main facilitator, and then she did a very great workshop for the young women from the Southeast Asian countries. And then they learned the advocacy skills and the presentation skills, and then it's actually the young women's voices young women's voices delivered to the policymakers, and they put their young women's voices into the policy level action plans. So we did this kind of workshop during the Olympic and Paralympic Games. And yeah, so because of this, I think we did a very good workshop. And because of that, Japanese government now got the secure fund, 5 years fund for the Japan and ASEAN collaboration in women and sports. So I'm really happy that I can still continue to work with this project next 5 years. So, and then I think that SCP Japan also can support for that project as well. So this is our organization's introduction. And then if you have any question, please feel free to ask me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Aya. That was fantastic, full of information of what you do with SCP Japan. That was fantastic. So we're going to open up to the floor again for the question to Miss Aya Noguchi. You can use the raise your hands feature, or you can just unmute yourself and ask questions. Diane, please.
I have to remember to unmute. Thank you so much for that presentation. Excellent. And it's amazing. I mean, the 2 presenters so far, it's amazing what you've been able to accomplish in such a short time. I'm very impressed. I also want to just comment and make, maybe rather than a question, sort of say what I sort of gained from this was that it's really important to follow your passion. I thought that Anya was very brave in leaving a very well-paid job and taking that initiative to go, oh, this just isn't me. I need to be doing something else. I need to be more active on the ground and actually make the change myself, not just through policy. It's taking that policy and putting it into action. And I was quite impressed with that, because that's a very difficult decision to move from one stable commitment to another where you don't really know what's going to happen. So congratulations on that and the strength to be able to do that. I also wanted to comment on how well you are meeting the SDGs with your program. I could just right off the top of my head see 5 of the different SDGs that you're working on, from of course gender, and then gender equity and inclusion, partnerships, which has really obviously made a strong impact on your organization, from getting funding to the implementation. So you've got peace and equity, you've got gender, you've got education. So you are really moving forward on these, and how to, if you're looking at demonstrating this through sport, it would be, you know, if you need any help, I work on that quite a bit and can give you some tips as well. Just another comment, Lombi, who is with the National Organization for Women in Sport in Zambia, she's on our international committee for women's sport international. So this is a good network for you to be for all of you to be engaged with. You can use the resources of the people that are here, and you've done a great job with that, Anya. And the other thing I just wanted to ask, like, in such a short time, you've built such a strong organization. How many people have you got working? Is all staffed, or how is that? You know, how are you able to achieve so much in such a short time?
Thank you very much for your question. Actually, for the I think we're gonna have two more, so we going to have 3. But for the Japan ASEAN Gender Equality Workshop, this is like a Juntendo University's getting fund. So I put a specific person to organize the project as well. So I think so that's another part. So I think I'd say about the 4 people who 4 full-time people who work with me right now in the different activities. Yeah. And thank you very much for the raising up the collaboration part. I think Lombe, and also I asked Marisa Schrenkler, she's also, I think, the Women's Sports International member for doing the junior facilitator job at ASEAN workshop. So I really appreciate this network, because otherwise I couldn't do it by myself. And then, yeah, it's very valuable for me.
Thank you, Aya. Miss Nina Smart has a question, and then after we're gonna go with Dr. Yazazi. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name, but I have another person to have a question. Okay, Miss Nina Smart, please.
Yes, thank you so much, Aya. That was very, very inspiring. And like Diane pointed out, I really appreciated, and I'm so impressed that you managed to move away from your career in Sweden and travel and build your organization and collaborate with so many organizations to do what you're doing. So my question was, if you can explain to us just a little bit, how did your experience differ from your time in Sweden as a professional player, and what you brought and how you organized yourself and collaborated with locals in Africa when you were in Zambia?
Yes.
So I would really like to know that. Part of the work that we are doing, I work to end FGM, female genital mutilation. And I collaborate with organizations from where I'm from in Eastern Europe, Romania, here in the United States, Los Angeles, and also in Sierra Leone. So we're trying to engage girls through sports, and some of the women that we work through also through agriculture. So I'm very interested to know how you localize your approach, because I'm sure it must be very different. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Honestly, I'm not sure how much my experience in Sweden can support my career at the moment, but I'm sure that the experience in the United States and the experience in the Zambia, it's really helped me because if I was just staying in Japan, I haven't never thought that the idea that I can use football to my mind and then get different ideas of collaboration. But when I went to the United States, I found many different women in the leadership position, and I'm very inspired that I can be the one of them, and then Kanai is one of them, my role model as well. And then I went to Zambia. At the time, after I went to Sweden, I thought, it's not really different from Zambia, United States and Sweden, because I haven't met but I went to Zambia. I just felt like that. The world I expand. It's just only the developing. But I never think that the country in the developing country also blow my mind. So, and then looking back Japan, and I want to be part about sport for the tackling gender issues. Japanese context that in Japan. I'm sorry if I can answer your question, but
perhaps I didn't place the question, but you answered it. States, you didn't see a difference in the whole world and a different way to interact once you go to Zambia, but you took all this experience and applied it in breaking gender barriers in your work in Japan.
Yeah.
And arigato.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aya. And then the last question is from Dr. Yazad Duzia. Yes, please.
Yes. Oh, thank you. That was an amazing presentation. I think my first question is, which part of Japan? I've been to Japan several times, so it's just for me to have a mental location of, is it Kyoto, Nagasaki, is it Osaka, or are we in Tokyo? Because I also run a Rosaria Memorial Trust, which is based in Zimbabwe, in Murewa. So for us, the issue of location and the place where we work from is also important, because cities have opportunities more than rural communities, and I work in rural community. We run the Rosaria Girls Soccer Tournament, and what we have learned is the importance of girls being supported by their families. And the times when girls do not have support from their community and their family, it's very difficult to fully engage in sports. So I'm very excited also here to see my brother, Joseph Chikowero, and the Chikowero family who support their children in sport. My second question is, how do you partner with private sector or get sponsors? How is your work sponsored? We know sport can also, when you are running a sports program, it can be quite expensive, it can be quite costly. So I just want to know, how are you managing or your fundraising approach in order to facilitate participation in sport? So those are the two questions. Where in Japan? And secondly, how are you engaging in funding? Is it private sponsorship? Is it government sponsorship? Is it individuals? Thank you, and over.
Thank you very much for your question. to answer your first question, we are located in the Tokyo area. So we are not living in the rural area, but I understand station in Japan, rural area in Japan has a very restricted traditional gender norms, and many women, many young women have to quit their sports career because their parents doesn't see their future in by continuing their daughter to play sports. So that we are mainly in the Tokyo area, but some of the project we start doing in the rural area. So we are seeing now the differences in rural area and city areas. I think the situation is the same, but we have to continue to work on that as well. And then your second question, how to get the funding. I think this is a little bit, I found a cultural difference in Japan because we have a PE class and then school program. The people we can do the sports program for free, but in Japanese challenges is the company didn't give us the money just doing the sports because everyone can do, they don't see that worth for investing the money to just sports program. So and then that's why I'm trying to talk to the companies or other donors that this is a sports program, but this is also tackling LGBTQ plus issues, gender issues, or disabilities, people's issues. So this is a sports program, but more than that. And then you have to, I think I'm convinced them to try use sports as a tool to social change. That because that unique and new ideas in the most of the Japanese companies and the donors. So I think that our strategies to convince donors or founders to give us some kind of money to down for our project.
Thank you very much, Aya. So again, that was a wonderful presentation, and all the work you do is such inspiring. Thank you very much. So now we're going to move on to the next speaker. So the next speaker is actually will be the recording. So next speaker is Perry Shinen. So Perry is the sports anchor and the reporter for the for WHSV in Virginia in United States. She joined the WHSV after graduating the Brown University in the United States, where she studied English and played on the women's varsity tennis team. She covered sports for Brown Daily Herald and served as the executive board of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. So over 4 years at Brown University, Perry completed 10 internships in sports media, including recent positions at HBO and Mandarali Sports Media. Perry also spent a semester at the WPRI Channel 12 in Providence, Rhode Island, in the United States, where she had the privilege to covering the Tom Brady, which is the famous football player in the United States, the last season in Patriots. So Perry is also the WSI newsletter assistant editor and work with the WSI newsletter editor-in-chief, Lucas Arcord, to publish the WSI bi-monthly newsletter. She also serves as a member of the WSI Communication Committee. So I am going to share her video message to you all.
Sound is not on.
Can you all hear the voice?
please put the
No, we can.
bottom of left, when you share the screen.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, hold on. I'll do it again. I'm sorry. Okay, I am going to share the sounds. Yes. Thank you for letting me know. I guess. All right. Here now should be able to. So please speak up if you can't hear again. All right, once again.
Hi, my name is Perry Shinen, and I'm a sports anchor and reporter at WHSV TV in Harrisonburg, Virginia, in the United States. And I recently graduated from Brown University in Rhode Island, where I studied English, and I played for the women's tennis team. And so sports are a huge part of my life, and especially being a woman in sports, I really am passionate about, increasing coverage for the next generation of female athletes. And so I wanted to share a story today. Well, rather tonight, because I just finished the 11 p.m. newscast. So I wanted to share a story that I wrote about breaking into the industry as a young woman. It's called Wide Eyes. It was 2:00 p.m. and I arrived at WPRI Channel 12 after a short commute from campus. The plain tan building stood 2 stories tall and was surrounded by multiple satellite dishes and a chain link fence. I flashed my badge in front of the camera and entered the building. It was my junior year at Brown, and I was ready to explore the wide world of sports beyond tennis. For the past 2 years, people have been suggesting I look into sports broadcasting. So I did. When I walked into the sports corner, Nate gave me a warm greeting and stood up from his desk so I could sit on his worn but comfortable navy blue swivel chair. Nate Arnold, a 12-year sports veteran and current WPRI sports director, is a beloved homegrown staple of Rhode Island sports media. I opened the NFL Films folder and started my evening with a smile as I went through epic slow-motion plays from the Patriots versus Giants game. It was amazing to actually recognize the plays because I had watched them live at Gillette Stadium during my first game as part of the Channel 12 sports team. As usual, Nate FaceTimed his kids at 6:30 p.m., and I listened as he talked to them in a gentle voice and asked about their classes and dinner. I could tell the kids loved him because they would shout through the phone in long sentences that made little sense, but Nate would laugh and tell them that whatever they just said was the funniest thing ever. After Nate hung up, he turned to me and asked if I had watched my demo clips for my sports broadcasting reel. I shook my head. The demo reel is a culmination of an internship in the broadcasting world. This collection of mock on-air samples replaces a traditional resume as interns seek television jobs after college. Let's watch your clips right now, he said. My gut clenched. Nate is about to watch my first 2 clips. I had recorded these tapes the previous Friday night, while Channel 12 covered Rhode Island high school football games. Nate clicked the first tape from the game of the week. And there I was, in my frozen cold, numb-fingered glory. I was a sideline reporter with 19 years of enthusiasm, but only 10 minutes of experience. I did not look nearly as uncomfortable as I remembered feeling at the time. In fact, I looked somewhat relaxed. Seeing the initial freeze frame of me standing in front of the camera gave me confidence that this actually might be pretty good. My self-affirming thoughts were immediately silenced as soon as Nate hit play. "We're at the game of the week and there are over 25 food trucks in front of me," I shouted into the camera with the most overly eager persona I had ever seen. I was literally shouting so loudly that Nate had to adjust the volume and turn me down. And the game had not even started yet. "I talked to head coach." At this point, I opened my eyes unnaturally wide, so the whites surrounding my pupils bulged out. Even I was taken aback by my excessiveness. I was basically yelling into the camera. For the rest of the 15-second clip, my eyes never went back to normal. They just stayed huge and scary, and I cringed as I finished my broadcast with, "And the head coach cannot wait to show his stuff." I was so out of breath from shouting without breathing that I let out a huge sigh like a deflating balloon while I was still on air. I felt super embarrassed, but also knew if I ended up being a famous sports broadcaster, this horrific clip would be proof of evolution. I stifled my nervous laughter because I was not even sure if I knew Nate well enough to burst out laughing. I also did not know if he knew me well enough to be honest, because whatever he said, we both knew it could not be positive. I timidly glanced over at him, and his eyes were closed. I turned to fully look at Nate, and he was laughing quietly and hysterically. Once I saw his reaction, I absolutely lost it and burst out laughing. Soon, he was doubled over in his chair with his eyes squeezed shut, and then I was roaring with giggles because I had literally done such a bad job, I was not even ashamed. I was just in shock. It was the funniest thing I had done in decades, and I was not even 20 years old. When he got himself together, Nate sat up in his chair and we both looked at one another. He wiped tears from his cheeks because he was literally crying, and I bit my tongue to stop from laughing again. I felt my cheeks turn red, and he could tell I was very embarrassed. After a few moments, Nate finally spoke. He used a gentle voice, just like I was a student, which I guess I was. Okay, so you do not want to be shouting at the camera. You want to describe the event, but you can just talk like you're talking to a regular person. Your energy is great, but it's kind of a lot, you know? Maybe tone it down a level or 2 or even 3. At this, we burst out laughing again. Then he explained that when he was in college, he was on air covering an event for the first time and did the same thing. Nate said his eyes popped out of his head and he used phrases like reporting live and just moments ago, even though the show was taped for later in the evening. Should we take a look at your Patriots clip, he asked. I nodded silently. I thought the clip at Gillette Stadium might be better, and if not, it was still helpful to get Nate's feedback despite the pain. We played the clip. I looked somewhat natural this time. I was wearing a white knit hat and it looked cute. I spoke in a less frantic tone, but my delivery was choppy because I'd memorized my script. Nate said this clip was much better. Nate turned around and asked me to pick up more scripts from the printer before I left. I delivered the copies and headed out. That night, on my way back to campus, I wondered if this could be the next great thing in my life.
So thank you. That was the short message from the presentation from Perry. So Perry, again, Perry is the assistant editor for the newsletter for the WSI biweekly newsletter as well. Okay, so now we have a final presenters. We have 2 co-presenters. So let me introduce them first, and then I'm gonna hand on the mic to them. Okay, so can everyone hear me okay? All right, so the last 2 presenters for us today is the Marika Fukuta and Miss Ayako Takematsu on the Japanese Bridge Women's Soccer Program. So the Marika Fukuta studied and played women's soccer for a university in the United States after participating in the Bridge Program United States tour. She became a team captain for the university teams in her senior year and contributed the successful season. Marika currently works for one of the largest airline companies in Japan as the assistant manager and director. She supervised contract and quality management of the overseas airports. As one of the leaders for the Bridge program in Japan, she has led several leadership and educational sessions, as well as charity event for Japanese women soccer players. And the co-presenter, Miss Ayako Takematsu, also participated in the Bridge Women's Soccer US tour and got inspired to get involved in promoting women in sports, particularly girls and women soccer players. After living in the United States and worked in Australia, she received the A license from the Japanese Football Association and then currently works as a football soccer coach at the National Football Academy in Japan. She has coached Japanese girls soccer players for over 15 years now. And as one of the leaders for the Bridge program, Ayako has also led several leadership and educational sessions, as well as charity event for the Japanese women soccer players. So please join me to welcome Miss Marika Fukuta and Miss Ayako Takematsu.
Okay, thank you, Kanae. Okay, so good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Okay, this is the last presentation actually. So please be relaxed, okay, to listen our presentation. Okay, so Ayako, please have your screen. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so today Marika and Ayako would like to introduce about empowering girls and women in Japan using soccer as vehicle which is we call the bridge program in Japan. At the first, please let us introduce ourselves. So my name is Marika Fukuta. So Kanai had mentioned already, but now I've been working at one of the biggest Japanese airline companies for years. I am one and contract and I take a leadership to involve many related people as a project manager, sometimes have business trip around the world. I first participated this bridge program in 2006. At that time, I went to Japanese university, played soccer, and studied education of sports. In spite of I couldn't speak English at all, I decided to try to study abroad while receiving the scholarship by playing US. During I went to study abroad, I learned collaborating with diverse people because my team was very international. There were not only American, but also Nigerian, Kenyan, British, Canadian, and Jamaican. At the senior year, I was selected to be a team captain. Also, I learned leadership skill with my many experiences in this opportunity. The experiences of studying abroad in US and graduating from both universities in Japan and US, which are utilizing in my current career.
Hi everyone, I'm Ayako Takematsu, who is another presenter for today. I'm currently working for National Soccer Academy and coaching under 15 girls players as a technical coach. I'm a bridge program member of Soccer Tour in 2006 and 2008. I've always been interested in soccer since I was kids, and that's one of the reasons why I joined this tour program twice. And later I changed my career to a soccer coach after working 10 years as a PE teacher. I have an experience to live and play soccer in the US and Australia as well. Now, let's get into the main topic. Firstly, I'm going to talk about what bridge program is and how this program is. The bridge program is one of the projects in Japanese Association for Women in Sports, JUICE. The bridge program was established by two women who really love soccer in 1994. They named this program Bridge in the hope it would become a bridge between Japan and the world using soccer as a vehicle. One is Miyuki Kobayashi, who is currently a board member of the WE League, the first Japanese professional women's soccer league. 35 years ago, she founded a women's soccer team in her university college league. But soccer was male-dominated sports in Japan more than now, so she had faced a lot of difficulties. However, when she studied abroad in the United States in her senior year, she found and witnessed a lot of girls play soccer without any hesitation. She made up her mind strongly on making opportunities to let Japanese girls players know these big differences. Miyuki gathered Japanese players and took them to the US, which is very beginning of the bridge program. Another is Dr. Kanai Haneishi, professor of Valley City State University. In her 20s, she decided to go to the US to study and play soccer because she was not satisfied with Japanese top league level. Kanai led the team, a national champion of NCAA Division II, and won the Defender of the Year. Her performance opened the eyes of the coaches in the US. She asked some of her Japanese friends to come and play soccer in the US on scholarship, which is another start of the Bridge Study Abroad program. The Bridge program was started by these passionate women, Miyuki and Kanae. Their strongest passion to soccer and leadership opened the door to the world for Japanese girls. Bridge program has been divided to two sections. The first is US Soccer Tour. Players who are interested in playing soccer in abroad or challenging new environment gather from all over Japan and form a team and spend their time together for 10 days. Main event of the tour is friendly matches versus some competitive varsity teams such as in NCAA Division 1. Japanese players first experience and learn American soccer style, which is speedy, dynamic, and physically strong. They get new perspective from their performance as it's totally different from Japanese style. Also, they find out how sport is treated in value there and how male and female are dealt with equal from the environment, including facilities. Aside from soccer, they enjoy some activities such as sightseeing and interaction with students who study Japanese culture. During the sightseeing in New York, players usually take metro or public bus to get their destination, not reserved bus. Of course, it's sometimes dangerous and quite challenging for some first travelers to abroad, but it would be a great lesson to think, make decisions, and act by themselves in different environments. Bridge program also support Japanese women soccer players to study abroad. Some players decide to study abroad during or after tour because of the offer from the head coach or the attractive environment. The way of support is unique, very unique. The Bridge program values players' initiatives and their own actions that can be useful later in their life. Players write application and contact to their head coach by themselves, even though their English is not good enough. After a few seasons, some players try to seek higher soccer and academic environment level and present themselves for the transfer opportunities. Many Bridge program members are people who are opening up their own lives. As you can see from these pictures, they are active not only in soccer, but also in various fields around the world. For example, professional soccer player, international referee, founded NGO organization, and becoming Japanese traditional artist, etc. Aya, who is another speaker for today's webinar, is one of the examples. We are making use of our experience from participating in the Bridge program in each career, finding what we can do and taking action. Such individual actions inspire each other continuously. The Bridge program has changed our lives.
We Bridge members have been connected over generations, united and engaged various activities. For example, we conducted an outreach trip of Bridge program in Japan. In 2016, we went to Kumamoto, where the big earthquake was occurred. We supported the earthquake victims, include the Bridge program members there. As one of the supports, we played soccer with high school students together and hold an interactive party for encouragement. In addition, we conducted another outreach trip to the countryside, where information is hardly received. We visited one high school student, played soccer with them, had a conference speech to tell them what we can learn from challenging to go to other countries. Under this circumstance with COVID-19, the bridge program has been canceled for 3 years. Therefore, we made two different kind of webinar for 2 years in a row. One is for sharing this bridge program to other people who hadn't known yet. Also, we share the current situation and their voice from studying abroad members in US to those who are interested in studying abroad. Another one is that we also had a webinar. The title is Design Your Life on the International Women's Day. We discussed how we can make our life more meaningful. We made 7 breakout rooms, as you can see. For example, childbirth, childcare, and my life. Life is series of choices. How do you decide? What's your dream? And LGBTQ and gender diversity, etc. Participants could choose room by themselves, and they exchanged opinion each other. There were many discovery and influence from other participants. We think it is also important to gradually expand the network through grassroots activities. The bridge program members think, is there anything else we can do? And trying to take action as much as we can. The bridge program founded Miyuki and Kanae has now developed into a bigger community where different generations with ambitions come together. We want to continue this movement for empowering girls and women through soccer. At IWG World Conference 2022 in New Zealand, we are going to present our work and initiatives to the people around the world. The topic of our presentation is over 2 decades of effort on empowering and mentoring Japanese women through soccer. During this presentation, we hope to share the bridge program as an example of how we can inspire girls and women at the grassroots level through sports. Today's presentation is our first challenge to connect and network with the world. In the future, we aim to become one of the examples for empowering girls and women through sports.
Lastly, we would like to talk about our goals. My career goal is contribute to the development of female soccer and support and encourage girls players. One of my targets now is coaching abroad, especially in Asia, because many countries have big capabilities of development. I believe I can share my knowledge that I experienced in Japan, the US, and Australia.
My goal is to provide better education to young people and to create an environment where society can grow together. To accomplish this goal, I'd like to be a leader who makes positive impact and encourages young girls to pursue their dreams and change the Japanese society through sports and education. Okay, thank you for listening. We look forward to meeting many of you again at the IWG conference in New Zealand. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marika and Ayako. That was a fantastic presentation again. Thank you so much. So we have a question for making one question, time for one question. Does anyone have a question to Ayako and Marika? Yes, Diane, please.
May not be a question, just I want to congratulate you on this program. It's as I've said in the chat, I find it really very innovative. It takes a very different approach, and it builds that confidence in young women to accept the challenges that they are confronted with. Way. So name of your organization. What you're trying to do. And I love the fact that you want to make this global. And when you see what your the results of the people that have been part of your team, the contribution they're making to society now, it's very impressive over the 35 years that the program has been in existence. You know, if you were able to actually measure the number of young women this has touched, I'm sure that it's thousands, maybe even more than that. Like, so I highly recommend that you continue this, and I'm very happy to see that you're sharing it at the IWG conference, because many people could model this. It's you know, I'm just wondering how is it funded? Like, this is a good program. So I guess I do have a question, not just to express how much I think this is very interesting and innovative, but how is it funded?
Okay, thank you very much for your comment and questions. The bridge program, when we go to the United States, we ourselves, you know, pay to go there.
Yeah.
So we wish and we hope Japanese, you know, government understand this program, and then they, you know, gave us some support. That'd be great, very great. But at this moment, it is not. Yes.
So do the girls do individual fundraising to get their funds?
No, actually, the Japanese culture is not like that. So yeah, so that's a big problem, because a little bit higher, you know, to go to United States. So,
yeah, it's very expensive. But hopefully by promoting this more, people will see the value. I think if you promote the impact in terms of the results of the people who have been through the program and what they've come back and done, not just in Japan, but worldwide, it may percolate into the mindset of the government and make them realize the benefit of such a program. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are looking forward to seeing you. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, and once again, thank you so much for the great presentation. So I know that we already have passed a few minutes of schedule time, but I like to lastly share about the WSI quickly, and then our membership for those of you who are not familiar about. So if you go to WSI website, you can join as a member and support these young, you know, all the projects that we do, and then the overall girls and women in sports. So WSI is committed to ensure girls and women have equal opportunity to engage in and enjoy and benefit from participating in sports and the physical activity. So through networking, collaborating, and valid research-based information, WSI educates and advocates for the positive change for girls and women equity in sports. So I once again, if you go to the WSI website, and then you can click this join now, and then you can join as a member, and you can receive the newsletters, and then like have an opportunity. If you want to, you have a more opportunity to get highly involved in the committees and task force we have. So lastly, we like to thank again for all of our wonderful presenters today. All of them are such inspiring young women that we see a bright future and positive future for the women in sports. And then everyone here, thank you very much for taking your time to join us today for this webinar. And this webinar is recorded, like I said, so it will be shared on our website as well. And then we continue keep connecting and developing our network for women in sports. So thank you again, and we hope to see you for the future event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kanai. It was good. Thank you, everyone. Great presentations.
Shiho, ありがとう。Thank you, Shiho. Thank you for joining.
もうありがとうございました。すいません。
いえいえ、ありがと
またいろいろと情報よろしくお願いします。
う。もちろん、もちろん。Should we leave? Kanae?
Yes, I'm gonna end this meeting
Okay.
now. So thank you for joining us, and I will keep in touch. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.